Minister, it's a cyclical problem this time of the year. You know, from about July on, TD's offices get bombarded with problems regarding school transport, and I'm sure my situation is no different than the rest of you here in this House. A number of problems arising with the schemes, and one of the main problems is that you can't get talking to a human being in bus Éireann. That's one of the problems. There's an automated system, and that's fine. And when that works, it works, and it works well, generally. The problem is, though, when there's an issue that arises, the computer can't make a change, and just sometimes you need to talk to a person. While with the Oireachtas email, you know, that doesn't do it. The same reply keeps bouncing back the whole time. And some of the problems that arise is in relation to routes being changed, people having to go 2 miles before they actually get to the pickup point. You know, we had this in the Jamestown area, Jamestown Ballybritis area, you know, and then other problems that arise is that with the scheme. So there needs to be human contact. Other problems that arise is in relation to the catchment areas. And I understand there has to be a catchment area, but the village of Borris-in-Ossory is split in 2 halves. Small village, right, of about 500 or 600 people. The main street is split in half. 50 yards of a gap. The children in this household go to St Fergus and Rathdowney. The children in this house, 50 yards up the road, they go to Rossgrade, despite the fact that they went to the one school. You know, there isn't a logic there to that, and there needs to be a level of flexibility. Now, you can only have so much flexibility, and I understand that. I'm not arguing for absolute flexibility. That needs to be addressed. The other issue I want to raise with you, and it's in the context of, you know, the programme for government, and the review shows, and I read the review, that, you know, you're going to expand it to another 100,000 pupils. I welcome that, okay? But you're not going to have the drivers. Now, I've been raising this over and over again. I've raised it, you know, you have over 70s who are sitting at home today who could be driving buses. It's not economically viable for those under 65 to do it generally. Why? Because it's a 3-hour-a-day job, but it suits somebody on a pension, right? I know that we can't have people driving buses who have a dicky heart or dodgy eyesight. I get all of that. That's no problem, right? I have a HGV licence. I have to go do a test every year for the medical test, every so many years for that. And that's right that I should do it, to keep the HGV licence. But to have a situation where they can't drive a child in a taxi as part of the scheme for bus Éireann, or 10 children in a minibus, but yet they're driving. A lot of these drivers are driving coaches. I know them. Friends of mine who are driving coaches with 50, 60 and 70 passengers on board during the day, but can't drive the school bus. People who are 71, 72 years of age, it needs to be extended to 75. I'd make that proposal to you. You know, bus Éireann, I've raised this with the Taoiseach, with the Taoiseach, with the Minister for Transport, I'm raising it with you. They all seem to agree with me that this needs to change. My understanding from the Minister for State, Sean Kenny, when I spoke to him about it outside the Dáil here one day just before the break, and I don't want to misrepresent him, but what he indicated to me is there's a problem with bus Éireann. Bus Éireann are putting the brakes on this. This needs to be resolved. This is a state contractor getting taxpayers' money. I know they need safe drivers. I understand that. But if you're going to, you don't have the drivers at the moment to cover the scheme that we have. I'm telling you, bus operators are telling me, and I'm sure it's happening across the country, that they cannot get the drivers. We need to sort out that and have a strict medical test for those over 70, and if you pass the test, you pass the test, you're fit to drive. We cannot continue to ignore this problem, and I would implore on you, Minister, as Minister in the Department for Education, and your officials here today, to come back with an answer regarding this. This cannot be put off on the never never. You will not be able to expand this scheme. You can put it on paper that's going to be expanded, but you will not have the operators and you will not have the drivers. And I'm saying that to be helpful. We need to sort this. Thank you, Colonel.